Chapter 8 of The Meanest Doll in the World is called Spies. And if you remember, Tiffany and Annabelle had met the PJ Party Pals, Penny and Yvonne and Beth, and the two troll twins, Waterfall and Melody, who had been hiding in a Lego hut because they were hiding from Mean Mimi and the Sander doll. And they kind of got the lay of the land, tried to figure out what was going on. And there were also some cutout paper dolls in this group. And they had decided they were going to help them in their fight against Mean Mimi. Annabelle, feeling shaky but determined, took Tiffany's hand and led her back to the center of the hut, where the PJ Party Pals and the Troll Twins were now standing in a small knot, talking quietly. "We've had a discussion, and we've decided to help you in your fight this weekend," she said firmly. "On Monday, we'll have to try to get back home, but until then, we want to help." "Thank you," said Penny. "That's really nice of you. But this isn't going to be easy, you know. In fact, it's dangerous. A few of us have gotten broken, so if you want to hide or something, you can. We won't mind." "We're used to this," added Waterfall, heaving a great sigh. Annabelle looked down at her china arms and legs, and at her petticoat and lace and ruffles. If she got hurt in the fight and went home to Kate cracked or smashed or with her clothing ripped or even missing, Kate might be suspicious and Annabelle would go into doll state. Or would she? Annabelle thought about the doll code of honor. A living doll, she reminded herself, was bound to protect the secret life of dolls. But a living doll was also bound to work for the benefit of doll kind. And what could be more beneficial to doll kind than preventing a cruel princess from trying to take away the freedom that living dolls now enjoyed? Annabelle wasn't sure, and she wished very hard that she could talk to Mama or Papa about this. But she thought that perhaps it would be okay to risk herself and Kate's suspicions if, in the end, all doll kind would benefit. So now, she said bravely to Yvonne, "No, we want to help. What do we do first?" "Well, the walls here seem sturdy enough. I think this can be our hideout, at least for a while." "We don't want it to get smashed, though," said Melody. "We'd never be able to put it back together before BJ comes home. So if Mimi is planning something really big, we'll have to abandon it." "The cutouts are going to go on a spy mission," spoke up Beth, "to see if they can figure out what Mimi is up to." Annabelle looked at the cutouts and nudged Tiffany. The cutouts were busily fastening on their spy outfits. Paper hats and sunglasses. The hats were identical. Yellow sombreros, except for the one worn by the doll at the end of the line. Her sombrero was red. When they were dressed, they took turns peering out a window as they glided by it. "We'll be back," said the doll in the red hat as she opened the door. Annabelle guessed that she was the head cutout. Whoops. Even though this picture isn't colored, you can tell that this one has to be red and the others are yellow. "In no time," chorused the others. Annabelle and Tiffany watched as the cutouts slipped across BJ's room to the wall nearest the door. They moved smoothly, following the orders of the doll in the red hat. "Up!" she would call as she climbed nimbly up a bookcase or a stack of toys, the rest of the cutouts behind her. "Down!" she would cry, and the cutouts would change direction. "Around! Careful! Crack the whip!" The cutouts circled BJ's room, peering into corners and under pieces of furniture. Eventually, they returned to the Lego hut. "No one's in here," reported the head cutout. "No one at all," said the others. "So we're off to Callie's room." Keep your wits about you, said Waterfall gravely. Our wits, sang the cutouts, and the next thing Annabelle knew, they had slithered under the closed door and disappeared into the hallway. 15 minutes later, they returned. They zipped into the hut in a great rush. Annabelle thought they were quivering. What did you see? Asked Penny. Oh, it's horrible. It's awful. It's a crime and a disaster, cried the cutouts. What? Said Tiffany. The news was distressing. Mean Mimi was, in fact, building a racetrack between Callie's room and BJ's. She had ordered Sleeping Billy to line up Callie's metal cars and trucks by the head of the track. She'll probably make Technoman launch them, said Beth. Technoman, the cutouts reported, was checking his lasers and spinning his gadgets and looking important. What about the Sander doll? Asked Yvonne. Just sitting on the blanket, replied the head cutout. Waiting for her orders, added the others. Melody sighed. It'll be an all-out attack, she said. I'm sure of it. Mean Mimi is angry. Angrier than usual, said Waterfall. Why? Asked Annabelle. Because last night she stomped in here while BJ was right in his bed, exclaimed Penny, and demanded to know why we won't be her friends. And we told her. Like we've told her about 1,000 times, said Beth, that she's not going to have true friends until she stops being so mean and bossy and wanting to take over the world. I said, added Melody, that the Sander doll and the others only stick with her because they're afraid of her, not because they actually like her. She's just a big bully, and bullies don't have real friends, only underlings. She's fit to be tied, sang the cutouts. What should we do? Asked Tiffany. And here they all are talking. You can see the cutouts in the back. You can see Annabelle and Tiffany, the PJ Party Pals, and you can even tell which one's Melody and which one's Waterfall. We have to prepare for the attack, said Yvonne. We know what to do, said Waterfall, sounding resigned. That means she's not very happy about it, but she knows if it's going to happen, they have to take care of it. Unfortunately, we can't always prevent damage, said Melody. Annabelle, who had been sitting on the floor next to Tiffany, stood up. What I want to know, she said boldly, is how Mean Mimi can keep getting away with this. If BJ and his family come home after their weekends away and find messes or broken dolls or smashed Lego buildings, then the doll code of honor has been broken and someone should go into doll state. Mimi is putting all dolls at risk with her attacks. That's true, agreed Beth. The thing is, so far no one has actually caught her in the act. But we think it's just a matter of time before something so big, so absolutely horrendous happens that, well, maybe all of us here will go into doll state. Or even permanent doll state, said Melody. Annabelle's hand flew to her mouth and she gasped. She wanted to ask these new dolls if they really believed in PDS, but now wasn't the time. We don't know how to stop Mean Mimi, though, said Penny. At least not yet. We talked to her, but she doesn't listen to us, and we can't overpower her while she controls Technoman and Sleeping Billy and the Sander doll. So all we can do is ward off her attacks. And we'd better be prepared, said Melody. Come on, everybody, let's get to work. Beth, you're in charge of barricades. Waterfall, you're in charge of booby traps. Cutouts, plan your next spy mission. Okay, replied Beth. Melody, you and Tiffany will work with me. That leaves Annabelle, Yvonne, and Penny to work with me, said Waterfall. Off we go, sang the cutouts, donning their hats and glasses and once again gliding toward BJ's door. And so the preparations began. Annabelle and her group set traps around the room. They placed small building blocks in a precarious stack just inside his door, so that Mean Mimi wouldn't be able to launch a sneak attack. They rigged books to fly off shelves if someone tripped over a string they had attached to the bottom of a chair leg. They arranged a blanket at the edge of BJ's bed that Penny said could be thrown down upon sleeping Billy, instantly putting him to sleep. The dolls worked so quickly that Annabelle felt sure they had set these traps many, many times before. "Won't Mean Mimi know what to expect when she attacks?" she asked. "Yes," replied Waterfall. "These things just make her job a little harder. The same with Beth's barricades." Annabelle eyed the piles of toys and pieces from BJ's erector set. "They won't do much except delay the worst of the damage. Sometimes Sleeping Billy and the Sandra doll get tired and want to go back to Callie's room before things are totally out of control. It's the most we can hope for." If you look really closely at this picture, you can see them throughout the room working at getting things set up. It was very late at night when the last of the barricades was in place, and the last of the booby traps had been set. Annabelle, Tiffany, the Troll twins, and the PJ Party Pals returned to the Lego hut. "What did you see?" Melody asked as the cutouts returned from another spy mission. 11 o'clock and all's well," sang the head cutout. "All's well," said chorused the others. Annabelle and Tiffany looked at each other and shrugged. "I guess Mean Mimi is planning a surprise attack," said Tiffany. "It won't be too much of a surprise. Mimi will knock over a booby trap as soon as she comes into the room," replied Annabelle. The dolls huddled in the Lego hut and waited. They waited throughout the night. They waited all the next morning. "If we wait much longer, BJ and his family will come home and see our traps and barricades," said Tiffany. "Maybe that's what Mean Mimi hopes will happen," Annabelle whispered to her. "She's just bluffing. She'll get us in trouble without even..." Zzz. A low buzz sounded from the hallway outside BJ's room. Annabelle jumped. The buzz grew louder and louder. "What is it?" cried Tiffany. "Technoman!" shrieked Penny. The buzzing was drowned out then by the crash of the pile of building blocks as the door to BJ's room burst open. Annabelle peeped through the window of the hut and saw the end of the racetrack poised in the doorway. A small metal ambulance came hurtling down the track, sailed through the air, and crashed against the hut. Annabelle jerked back from the window, but not before she saw a giant foot stride into the room. The Sandra doll was back, and she was not alone. "Honey, I'm home!" cried Mean Mimi. Chapter 9 is called Chaos. So things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. How many of you think they're going to make it back home? Or how many of you think that's going to be the end of the dolls? Tune in again tomorrow.